Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Trine number ANSI ITL. This is a installation tool, a set of tools actually, for installing Trine strikes that are 4 7/8 tall or 2 3/4 tall. And it's a simple device, as most templates really are, right? You get the 4 7/8 and you get the 2 3/4. And what you're seeing here is, this is probably going to be the one you use most, but the 2 3/4 is going to allow you to install their 234 or 234X 3000 series for timely frames, should you need to adjust that. Depending on the placement or the lip length of what's happening, you might need to adjust that further out. You just loosen those screws. And what you do is, with the included carbide scribing tool that's included with the tool, okay, you obviously mark the frame as needed. 4 7/8 tool, obviously the same concept. You're going to mark where you need. You don't need to mark it very heavily, because all you're really wanting to do is to break the paint or the finish on the frame, and that will be plenty to reveal where you're supposed to cut. Easy to install on all of Trine's 4 7/8 and 2 3/4 strikes. Includes the bolts that will allow you to simply screw it to the frame. The two 12/24 screws are there. The two 8/32 screws are there for the 2 3/4 strike. Now the 4 7/8 tool can be used to accommodate the Schlage mortise lock, or other mortise lock manufacturers need to reposition something because the vertical center line needs to be repositioned on a mortise lock installation. And the installation instructions show us how to reposition it, but what we do is we relocate those screw holes. So as you can see here, that's our normal installation. Okay? If I were to reposition those screws to the two center locations, I would then be able to run them, depending on my hand, into these offsets that will allow then the face template to shift down in the appropriate reposition for a mortise lock. Okay, very typical. You can have the mortise lock repositioned, the strike repositioned, so that you can maintain a center line of the strike and the center line of the latch. Or you might have the type of strike that you don't need to do any of that, and it just has the long, very large. But regardless, if you are in an application where you need to reposition the tool itself, it can handle that because of the repositioned keeper. Now there is a link below this video to the installation instructions, and they are included with the hardware. And Trine does a really good job at describing everything. And that first page, the 4 7/8 the 478 faceplate requires only that first notch that you'll use with the scribe. Then, of course, your other strikes, the 4200, the 4100, the EN 400, well, the 40, you can see the 478, the 4200, the 4100. Now down below here, you would run your scribe on the outside of the tool for your EN 400, your 430, your 435, and your 4100 DBDL strikes. Those EN 400s are nice. They're all nice strikes. When they're grade 1 strikes, I like a lot. Sure, Trine makes a lot of low-cost strikes that are very common and ubiquitous. But they are not the 4 7/8 or 2 3/4 type variant. You'd see them in wood frames, so this template wouldn't work for that. So page 1 illustrates how to do that. Page 2 shows you the steps. First, secure this to the frame with the screws included. The template lip should seat on the face of the frame, so you're basically going to, if need be, loosen these 2 screws and push this flush to the frame, tighten the screws. Then at that point, you'll scribe appropriately for the strike that you're using. You'll remove the unit and you should see your scribed lines. Then with your tool of choice, whether it be a jigsaw or a die grinder, a jigsaw would be generally sometimes how it's done. A jigsaw is good in certain applications, not in all. If you're doing it in the field, a jigsaw might be tough to get a reciprocating blade moving inside your frame. And then once you've made a nice clean cut, you can move on to step 6 there and then simply install the strike. Now, would I personally own this tool? Yeah, I would. If I was going to do one, I wouldn't buy the tool to do one strike. If I knew that I was going to do lots of strikes over time, this thing is durable. It'll last forever. I would absolutely use that. If I was using Trine strikes and I was installing them with some frequency, it's not that you can't measure. We can all measure. We can scribe. We can measure. We can do that. We can make our own as well. But what you want to eliminate out is the human element. Scribing the wrong line, okay? Measuring the wrong depth. Nothing looks worse than when you were 1/8 of an inch, or even worse, 3/16, too heavy on a cut. There's no way to fix that. Even though some strikes by Trine have a filler plate. What I would do is, I was doing a job, I would take masking tape and I would mask off the portion I don't need. I would only give myself exactly what I needed to do this. One nice thing about this is that you can have one person go and do the scribing with someone coming behind you doing the prepping, and then you can, once they're all scribed, start at the head of the column, and work backwards if you're doing a handful of them. And that's just really what templates are, aren't they? They're a piece of apparatus that someone has already done all the mathematics, taken the base material, created it, put it together, marked it, identified it, so that we could just come up, slap it on the door, not have to think too much, make our marks, make our center punches, drill, tap, whatever you're putting on. Makes it simple and easy. So yes, I would absolutely invest in that tool. It's not very expensive at all, and in fact, you only have to make one mistake to make this tool worthwhile, would be how I would state that. But the carbide scribe is nice on its own. That's got some value to it. I don't know what it would cost to buy a carbide scribe, because I'm not even sure if I own one. But the fact of the matter is, Trine does a good job with their material. They have a couple of strikes. They actually, in fact, have the only, that I'm aware of, exterior rated strike for use. Exterior rated electric strike is what I'm driving at, and I've used their material to great extent. We did a project where the client was doing electric strikes at a gate that was 100 feet away from the door, so they had a large power supply. They had a good decent power supply, good wires going out to feed the strike. Completely exterior in a not northern climate, not southern climate, somewhere in the Mason-Dixon area. And it's been working flawlessly. Works great. So I think a Trine for that as well. And that's the EN400. That will allow you to use this template as well. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Trine products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as link to the full product catalog. Any question on the Trine ANSI-ITL installation tool or any other Trine product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.